Scuttlebutt is a pirate should always poke random barrels they find floating in the water, especially during a game designed for pirates by pirates.
Boop-a-doop-a-doop-boo. Boo. 3.5, not a real season. 3.5, but still king of the what? Now 3.5. Gonna watch some pirates. 3.5 before season 4.
Start the show!
Hello, fellow adventurers of the Grand Line, and welcome to episode 65 of King of the What Now? We are in the 4th season. Woo! Water 7's mark, or whatever's going on. As always, I'm your host, Joel, and today, I'm the Ball. We are a One Piece fan podcast that started at the very beginning and are making our way through it, and I am a longtime fan of the series.
And I'm Curtis. I'm your co-host, which means I'm about 50% taller than a normal co-host. And I am a One Piece casual fan of One Piece.
That's right.
He's so casual he can't even remember his own title, folks. I'm Kat, I'm the ghost of the show, and I'm an enthusiastic announcer on the back of a bird. Dummies mean.
She is so mean.
So Joel,
Yes.
/ Curtis, I have a bit of a complaint, perhaps, or like a mind puzzle.
Okay, yes.
So the reason I am the ghost of the show when I introduce myself is because when I started giving my input, it was very sporadic, and it was kind of like, in the distance, we hear a voice. But now I'm on every episode, so I don't know that it's fair for me to keep calling myself a ghost, but I like that title, so help me. What's going on?
Okay, so what we can do is we can find you the corpse of a ninja, and you will possess it. I know ninjas are kind of taboo in this neck of the woods. We don't talk about them, and we don't talk about soul reapers. We don't talk about mages who are part of guilds, or martial artists who want to become the very strongest. But if we find you the corpse of a ninja, and you possess it, and you get, like, the ability to, like, move really quickly, and you do ninjutsus and stuff, maybe you could be the Spectre of the podcast. Because that sounds like a really cool name.
That is a deal. Let's find that ninja corpse.
Okay. We will let you know eventually, dear listeners. It's not a top priority, but it is on the list.
Excellent.
If you know of any dead ninjas out there whose corpses have not decomposed to a state where they are unusable,
Dial 9-800-MIX-A-LOT. Kick them nasty thoughts. What episodes did we just watch?
Yeah, we just ended up watching 4 episodes of the Davy Back Fight episodes, 207, 208, 209, and 210. I do want to make a really quick note. Even though technically we have a new season opening and we have a new cold open format and all this other good stuff, the Davy Back Fight, and there's a couple of other smaller arcs that are coming up, I don't consider them really part of the saga. They don't really contribute much to the overall goal. Everything in the Alabasta saga led up to Crocodile. There was Brokeworks everywhere. In Sky Island, everything led up to going up, meeting God, and punching him in his crap-lousy face. The Davy Back Fight kind of feels a little disconnected from the plot, and so even though we're technically in season 4, we're flying a little loosey-goosey with the rules, and we're gonna have a more formal opening for you in another couple of episodes of the podcast.
Unless you really like the silly one, in which case I guess you could reach out to us on Twitter. We love hearing from you folks.
Absolutely. Alright, so now Curtis is going to have to jog my memory, and he's going to have to summarize these episodes succinctly for me.
Joel's memory is much like a puppy. You have to take it out for a jog at least once a day to burn its energy off.
All right, here we go. So, we opened with Bellamy. Who's that? It's that guy from a while ago that we haven't seen in a long time. He is being killed by a crewmate who's under control of Don Flamingo.
Excuse me, his name is Big Knife Sarquis, and you will remember that because he's very important. We see him so often.
And his knife is so big.
His knife is big.
But anyways, Don Flamingo is controlling them. He's upset that Bellamy has disrespected his symbol and his message. ? We will elaborate more. Meanwhile, Luffy and the Straw Hats find an island where everything is longer. There, they find a man who has lived atop giant bamboo stilts for 10 years because he was too afraid to come down. Also, their ship gets impounded by the Foxy Pirates, who want to do a showdown called a Davy Back Fight. Luffy reunites man and horse, or actually more accurately, horse, which is a taller horse,
Everything on the island is longer, and instead of giving them new names, they just elongate the word for them. Thankfully, that joke would get quite old, but we quickly move on from that naming scheme.
Thank God. But the horse is caught in a net. The net was fired by Foxy the pirate, who has challenged Luffy to the Davy Back fight, as I mentioned before. And the loser of a Davy Back fight loses either crew members or his Jolly Roger.
Oh, no.
Luffy accepts. Round 1 of the Davy Back fight.
What do you mean round 1? What's going on with that?
So there are 3 rounds to the Davy Back fight because Luffy chooses 3 rounds. He's allowed to choose anywhere between 1 and 3, and he chooses 3 because...
That's more fun. There's buffoonery afoot.
Yes, and apparently he's actually decent at Simple Addition.
He has to be able to keep track of how many meals he's missed when he's unconscious.
Oh, good point. So round 1 of the Davy Back fight is a wacky racist-styled boat race where everybody builds their own boat out of barrels. Despite tricks and distractions, the Straw Hats make it to the front with only them and one other raft left.
It was called like the Pretty Damsel or something? I can't remember.
Yeah. This is thanks to Nami's smarts and Usopp's marksmanship. But then Foxy interferes using his devil fruit power, the slow fruit. They lose, and Chopper is taken.
Oh no, Chopper!
And they set up round 2 at the end of these episodes. It's a ball game, where Sanji is the ball.
Not only that, but it's 2-on-3, because the rules of the Davy Back fight are you're not allowed to change your roster. They put Chopper as their third man in this 3-person competition, but he's no longer on their team. Mm-hmm. What would have been even better, perhaps, is if Chopper had still been allowed to participate, but because he'd sworn loyalty, if he had to... But I think that you might be happy with how this fight goes, or that this game goes with the 2-on-3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And that has been your...
succinct summary!
That's right, folks. Here at Whoa, no, that's not us.
Here at what? Do I have to start calling you Mark now?
No. I'm not nearly as handsome on mic as Mark.
Whatever you say, Mark.
But anyways, okay, I'm losing concentration. We here at King of the What Now can't remember our own segments, and so we have to, remind each other. Much as how, right then I mentioned our friendly rivals sailing the high seas, we're going to borrow one of their segments, and we're going to invoke two-song style, which for you two, who I don't think have heard their podcast, is when you discuss the new opening or the new closing. And in this case, it's both.
Two-song style. Let's get it.
Okay. Quick note. When we went online, I don't know very many of the openings and closings by name. So I went onto the wiki in order to figure out what closing and what opening we were on, and quickly figured out which opening. Great. For the ending, it looked like ending 13 ended with the G8 arc, which we had just finished. And ending 14 should be the ones that we watched. And yet Curtis, Catherine, and I, all of us together, agreed that we had never heard this song, and in fact, we were on episode 15. I don't know why the wiki is wrong. I don't know if it's something with Verve. I don't know if there's some copyright strike, but we're talking about ending 15 today, not the one listed as 14.
And that was Eternal Pose?
Eternal Pose was the new closing, and the opening was... I've already forgotten it. It was...
How could you have forgotten? It goes da 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 da. That one. That's the name, too.
Yeah, it's the one where they're falling.
Here's the thing. Bon Voyage is so good for Joel that anything that comes after it, he just writes off as, well, not Bon Voyage, so...
Yeah, I think that was opening 6, and I think that the one before that, or the next one that I remember by name is 11. Okay, Kokoro no Chizu. I do not speak Japanese. I do not know what that means. Anyways, so Curtis, why don't you hit us with your thoughts? Let's do the opening first.
The opening?
Yes.
I very much like this opening. So... the animation was better. The sequencing of it was better. It seemed longer. Maybe that's not accurate. Maybe it wasn't longer. And the timing between the scenes and the music was spot on. So it felt like the show must have gotten a bump in the budget right around this time, because it felt a lot more professional. I don't know what I want to
Okay.
say, but
According to the wiki, these episodes that we watched today were the first episodes to be aired in widescreen, which, I mean, that's a technical term that I definitely know what that means, but I think that you're right, that there was a noticeable and palpable jump in quality. I also liked the fact that the opening starts with all of the Straw Hats falling from the sky.
That was
which
gonna be
is
my comment.
perfect, because we just finished Sky Island, and how did they escape Sky Island? They fell. Catherine, do you have any other thoughts?
Yes, I liked that after they fell and it showed the Mary kind of crashing into the water, there was that big scene of the Mary all by itself on the wide the wide ocean. Forgive me, folks, I don't know how to talk tonight. And then I also liked that it transitioned from them falling from their last adventure into scenes from their next adventure.
Yes, or potentially filler scenes. You know, they do a pretty good job, these openings, of kind of mixing and matching and showing things that maybe aren't going to happen, but maybe are symbolic of certain ideas and that sort of a thing. Curtis, you were going through with a fine-tooth comb, and you're going to release a video on YouTube, 10 Things You Missed from Kokoro no Chizu?
yes, I'm only a little bit behind on this video. Let me see. I found 15 different little clips.
Okay. Oh, really quick? According to this wiki page, the literal meaning of Kokoro no Chizu is map of the heart. So you got map of the heart and eternal pose, which both have to do with, directions.
Oh, that's great.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there were. I don't want to talk about all 15 of these, but some of them interested me. The first one was Luffy punching a guy and the guy grabbing his hand and then freezing him, which was
Okay.
interesting. So I'm excited to see that.
We were speculating that perhaps that was in fact Luffy's father, who was going to finally make an appearance, and he was punishing Luffy because Luffy didn't get his permission slip signed, but went to Disneyland anyways. And so this guy, Luffy's dad, maybe he has a name, maybe he's just dad, but he was punishing his son. So.
He looked a little bit too snazzy. I think he was at a theater and he was checking to see if Luffy had a ticket, and Luffy did not have a ticket.
Okay, we'll have to see which of those theories ends up being true.
Mhm. Let's see, what else was interesting in here? Oh, so we saw some scenes that we've seen now, or at least we know enough now to know what's going on. So we saw a clip from the boat race. We saw Sanji don his hat that indicated that he will be the ball.
In the upcoming Groggy Ring match,
Mhm.
yes.
We also, so there was a bit where Usopp and Luffy were fighting. So Usopp had his arm wrapped and he had the impact dial on his hand, and he was
Okay.
attacking Luffy with it, and that was interesting. So
Why, though?
I was
don't
gonna say,
know.
do you think that scene is canon, or do you think it's just for fun for the opening? And if it is canon, what would you guess the context is?
I think. Ooh, okay. So, what was the round 3 in the Davy Back fight?
Well, I don't think they've told
They
us
haven't
yet.
told us. They don't tell you until
Oh.
the game
I
starts.
think they mention it by name, but I think that Groggy Ring doesn't really bring to mind, ball hoop competitions. So I think they mentioned it. I didn't write it down, and I don't remember what the third match
Oh,
was.
see, I thought they went and said there will be a race, there will be a ball game, and there will be a something.
Yep. We're gonna pause for a second. All right, a quick glance at the wiki has told me that this is called, the third match will be the Run Roller Around match.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not what I thought it would. I was gonna say, what if the third match was
Kill
the-
your captain.
Well, what if they lost again and they lost Usopp, but Usopp was still on the roster, and so they did what you
Oh.
speculated, and he just ended up there, and then he was forced to fight his captain or something. I don't know. I could see a scenario where they have to fight because of some reason.
That sounds just devious enough for the Foxy Pirates, actually, to write the name of a foe's team
Person
member
on their
their roster so that they had them after they'd lost or won them.
They do seem pretty confident. Alternatively, we did just see a scene in which crewmates attacked each other, namely Bellamy and Sarquis. And so perhaps whatever happened there is going to happen to them.
It could be Don Flamingo again.
It could be.
We'll see.
So we will have to see.
Doflamingo.
Is it Don Flamingo?
Don Quixote Doflamingo.
Okay. So Don Flamingo do Quixote.
Yep,
Correct.
that's my husband's name.
Okay. So the other one I wanted to talk about, well, there are two more. There's one where a guy is jumping off of a building, and he turns around, and he's got like a hat and a long square nose, unlike
What?
Usopp's nose. He looks like if you were to take Usopp and then said, I'm going to turn you into a Lego and then turn you back into a human.
He's like the
Okay.
Roblox version of Usopp.
Yeah, basically.
What if Luffy, in that scene we were speculating about, punched Usopp so hard that his nose changed shape?
He's permanently deformed into a less interesting looking person. Yeah, so I'm curious to see what happens with that. And I'm also curious about the glasses wearing library looking woman who adjusted her glasses
Okay.
mid-kick.
Please address her by her real name, Miss Secretary. I'm comfortable spoiling that is the role that she plays, at least. But yeah, she seemed to be kicking Luffy and Nami. I wonder what that's about.
That's not a very good secretary.
I think they probably were like, we're gonna see your boss. And she was like, you don't have it on the appointment. Kick, 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 kick. So...
A woman who fights with kicks? If only we knew a man who fights with kicks whose weakness was women.
Interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. But yeah, I don't know how well you were paying attention to the background fodder characters that were being beaten up at different points, but aesthetically they all match. So it seems like there's some kind of an organization coming up or some kind of a group, and that maybe their attire attributes them to this society or group or whatever.
Are they all boring looking? They're
you know,
boring business casual looking people?
That's right, and the secretary is like their final boss because she's the most business-like, and also
Yeah.
she's the one who has like any kind of semblance to her character design.
They were like, you know how Brooks works was super interesting looking? We're the opposite. We're the 9-to-5ers.
I love it. The other scene that you noted to me before we started recording that I just want to touch base on, Robin appears to be entering or leaving a masquerade of some sort, and there's a masked person walking past her in the other direction. So maybe that's where all the interesting people in this town have been kidnapped for the masquerade, and all the boring people have been left in order to fend off the pirates.
That makes sense.
Okay.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to mention. Oh, there's a random camping scene in the middle. That's not like an actual scene. That's just like part of the opening.
Them being cute.
Yeah, it was good.
I love this opening. I love the music, and I
It
love the
is.
straw hats.
I love that it's upbeat and such. We don't get any kind of a narrator at the beginning. We don't get Gold Roger or Luffy or anything like that, and I miss that a little bit. I like the grandiose of Luffy being like, did you know that there's a treasure at the end of the Grand Line? Or Gold Roger's fame, wealth, power.
No spoilers, but there's one coming up in a later opening, Curtis, that I really dig. But
Is it
doesn't
because
come
Joel
up for
did it?
a long time. What?
Is it because Joel did it?
No.
Joel submitted a fan intro
It's
and it
true.
got added.
Yeah, it's, this is the intro song to the TV show.
He said it back in time.
This is the intro monologue.
Okay. I think that about covers it for the opening. So, Curtis, do you want to regale us with the story of the closing?
Yeah, so the closing was just chronological, like, still shots of the characters.
Curtis, that's not how you tell a story. This is how you tell a story. The episode fades to black. We hear the bars of a song begin to play. We see the Straw Hats as they were throughout their many adventures, different faces, different emotions, but through it all, they are together.
Through it all, Chopper is always on a barrel in every single one.
Different faces.
Yeah, like they were making different faces. Like,
Oh, that makes more sense.
I made
so Catherine
faces.
made different faces in complete silence for those of you who
I was going to say, did they steal the faces? They're all wearing different faces every time. It's very disturbing.
But yeah, you get Luffy shirtless because it had been blown off in the fight with Mr. Five, and you got Zoro in his epic pose. You got Robin in her Miss All Sunday outfit. You get them in their Alabasta outfits. You get Luffy covered in ink from Hachi. So it's basically just, here's a bunch of stuff that has happened.
I forgot that she was Miss All Sunday. That's so long ago. That was like over 100 episodes. No, that was probably like about 100 episodes ago.
I don't remember when it started, but yeah, I think that Alabasta ended around like 120 or so, so it's
Okay.
been almost 100.
Wow.
Okay. Any thoughts on the closing other than the fact that it's a bunch of pictures?
The music was okay.
Yeah, the music was fine. Really, honestly, every time a new opening or a new closing shows up, I go, okay, Joel, you need to read the lyrics and you need to figure out what the through line is and what the message is. And I never do that. I remember reading the subtitles for the for the opening when it first showed up. That was a couple of days ago. I don't remember my thoughts on anything down there.
Which means the lyrics weren't very impactful if you can't remember your thoughts.
Yeah, they all kind of bleed together. Openings and closings are always about following your heart, and there's always a little bit of, like, metaphor in there. You know, I'm following the string in my heart, and it leads to your sunshiny face.
I still really think the only closing we've had that is any good is the one where they're all kids.
Yes.
And that's just because it's cute to watch.
Mm-hmm. The closings definitely are lower quality than the openings. Probably on purpose. I mean, not that the closings are lower quality on purpose, but the openings are higher quality on purpose, right?
Yes. Would you guys like to guess how many more closings we have before we're all done with them?
2 is my guess.
Catherine's guess is 2.
Let me think. We're on episode 200. There are approximately 800 episodes?
We're getting close to 900 by now.
Okay. And we're on 15. So I'm going to guess...
Keep in mind, we eventually get rid of them to make room for longer openings.
Oh. 30.
We have 4 left before
What?
we will be finished with the closings.
I got the closest guess. I get the jelly bean.
Hey. You had some foreknowledge, though.
I mean, it's entirely possible that Catherine had some foreknowledge.
If I had foreknowledge, I would have guessed 4. I would have had foreknowledge.
But I mean... okay.
Okay, I'm looking... And it looks like, as of today, there are about 875 episodes.
Oh, wow. We are almost
Like a
a quarter.
fourth? Yeah.
Almost a quarter of the way there.
Okay. I think that has done it for all of the music. I think it's done it for the recap. I'm ready to jump into some of the
meat
moments.
and potatoes. Yes. Curtis, you mentioned in your succinct summary, my boys, Bellamy and Don Quixote do Flamingo are back.
Yes, and I need some clarification from the two of you. Okay, so...
Doffy is in fact the one wearing the pink boa, and Bellamy was the one who bounced around.
But nobody
he didn't
bounced
do any
in this
bouncing.
scene.
He just sort of stood there and got...
He crawled away, I think, and begged to be forgiven.
Poor baby.
Okay, so Doe was the one that was getting chopped. The one chopping was Chopper.
Right.
And the one that was sitting with the boa was Cruella de Vil.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and ask your question.
I'm sorry. Okay. So my question is this. My understanding of what was going on was that Bellamy was somehow beneath Do Flamingo Don Quixote. Don Quixote Do Flamingo.
Just call him Doffy.
Just call him Doffy. That's what we call him.
Okay. Doffy.
Yes.
Doffy is above Bellamy.
Yes.
And Bellamy is like an accolade of Doffy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that...
Accolade is like, hooray, yay!
Oh, okay, acolyte. I don't know if that's official or not, but that's not my question. My question is this. Why was Doffy upset? Because he said I didn't catch exactly what he was saying. He said something along the lines of, like, you disgraced my symbol, and, like, he said his thing about, like, the coming era in, like, a mocking fashion.
So... Bellamy went out of his way to beat up on and belittle people for having dreams. And that eventually caught up to him when he ran into somebody with dreams who was stronger, in the form of Luffy, and Luffy kicked his butt. And so what Doffy was saying here was, hey, it doesn't really matter whether dreams are real or not, you moron. Your job is to manipulate people to your benefit as one of my underlings. And what you did instead is you showed off and you got your ass kicked. And that makes me look bad because everybody knows that you work for me. Does that make sense?
Okay. That makes sense.
It was essentially his version of you're fired. And also, it kind of, in a way, maybe I'm stretching here. Stretching in One Piece. But it also is a little bit like how Crocodile disposed of Mr. 3 when Mr. 3 failed to take out the Straw Hats. Bellamy, if he's going to run in Doffy's crew, he has to be strong, and strong people don't get their butts kicked.
Yeah. I mean, so I got, like, the fact that he failed. I was confused because it sounded like Doffy was both mocking and upholding the sentiments that Bellamy was
Yes.
advertising.
Daffy is a strange psychotic person. It's hard to get a grip on him because he smiles when he's happy. He's almost always happy, but he also smiles when he's angry. And you have to really pay attention to know which smile and which laughter he's using. What do you think of his there's a new era coming, one in which only strong pirates can survive?
I don't know. I'm curious. So he's one of the 7 warlords.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's only 6 right now, if you want to be technical.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the current status of Blackbeard is. Because remember, like, he had a representative go.
Yeah, and Lafitte tried to be like, hey, hire my guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm interested. It doesn't surprise me that one of the warlords would be working counter to the government, right?
Sure.
Because we've already seen it once. So I don't know. It doesn't surprise me. I am curious what he means, and also I'm curious if it's just him, or if there is a larger collection of the warlords and or of more pirates working towards this goal.
You know how there's different theories, like some people believe that there's actually 2 versions of a character and that they actually switch places between scenes and stuff like that. If you pay attention and you ever see the smiley face with the cross over it on someone's body in any way, then that means they're a secret agent of Daffy. And they're here to start the new era. And they're all time travelers as well. That's another key point that you have to pay attention to. They came down in their spaceships with their transforming synthetic devil fruits and their pirate ships that can fly through the air, and they're gonna punch you with a giant Verth moon fist.
Joel, they don't need to be time travelers to do that. They've been waiting up there ever since the apocalypse happened.
The moon, okay.
Yeah, they've had this technology for a while. They've just been waiting for their moment to strike.
Okay.
I was happy to see Daffy again. I was happy to see Bellamy again. I was very sad about their interactions. Like, Bellamy is a horrible trash person, but you can really tell that, like, he wants to do right by Doflamingo, and him begging for another chance, and Daffy being like, no. And having his friend kill him is just...
So here's a hot take.
Okay,
and I think that you might get a little upset with me because of how you feel about one character versus how you feel about another.
Do you need me to brace myself?
I think you should.
I am braced.
Okay. Is it possible that Bellamy is in fact just the Joffrey of this series? He's a little punk. He's got the blonde hair. He's mean to people for no reason, and he's trying to prove himself to a father figure.
Cat, restrain yourself.
Which would also make Daffy the Tyrion or the...
Bellamy never killed anyone's dog.
I guess that's fair. I mean, we don't know for sure whether he did or did not kill a dog.
What if the dog had dreams?
Oh no, the dog from that village who was waiting for his person to come back. He had a dream.
Oh, but he's not on the Grand Line. He's safe.
Yeah,
good.
Perfect.
Okay, was his name Pachu, or am I just...
Choo-Choo.
Choo-Choo, thank
Yes.
you.
Could Bellamy bounce over Reverse Mountain with his spring powers?
How high can he bounce?
I don't know. I mean, we know that Crocodile said that you can, like, train your devil fruits and you can use them creatively, so maybe if Bellamy really, if he did some squats, strengthened his legs.
I think there's an equation we can use to determine the maximum amount of energy we could store in his body as a spring.
Slow motion photons, your argument holds no weight. Science is out the window.
We do not need equations here. Slow motion photons. That was a fun thing. Curtis, I was excited to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah. My thoughts are many.
My thoughts. My lovely, lovely science thoughts.
My lovely Curtis thoughts. Check it out.
Please don't sue us. That's not Beyonce, is
The
it?
Black Eyed Peas.
Okay.
Is it really?
Yeah.
That's the Black Eyed Peas?
Yes.
Okay, that's not what this podcast is about, but... Okay.
Okay, which member of the Straw Hats has that boom boom pow?
Oh, right.
Sorry, we're going back to the
Choppers.
So the slow fruit, the slow photon, the slow photons.
The Slotons.
Yes, as I like to call them. I was upset, and then I was like, okay, whatever. One Piece has slowly worn me down. I will still always be upset when there's something that's just like kind of like pulled out of nowhere. But I'm okay.
So, Nami actually at one point was the Curtis proxy in this episode, and she goes, "That's bullshit. That's impossible. No, you don't have slow motion photons. What are you talking about?"
You surely know that such childish claims have no merit in these waters.
Yeah. And that was Foxy's response. And so anytime from now on you say something didn't make any sense, I'm going to respond with that Foxy quote in his voice.
Okay.
Also, we watched the dub. I know that you're on subbed right now. And in the dubbed, they had someone with a, I'd say, fairly strong kind of, what would you call that? Like a gangster Bronx-ish
it was
accent?
some kind of accent. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like European.
Okay, maybe Italian is what I'm thinking. Do you remember Shaman King?
Oh, wait. Maybe?
Okay,
Do they have talismans? No.
Okay, never mind. There's a character from that named Rio, who has the pompadour, and he's the kind of street thug archetype that you see sometimes.
Is he the one that turns at one point and then he turns back?
Okay, we are. The ship is sailing down a river, and it's going to crash upon the shores. My point is, I think it's the same actor, and they have like a pretty noticeable accent, and it's an interesting choice for Foxy, the Silver Fox.
I haven't been listening to the English sub for a while now, or dub now, so
We'll send you a clip. Sorry.
I will say, I was shocked to discover that Portia is much more annoying in the Japanese than she is in the English. Her voice is really high-pitched in both, and we were sitting there watching it, and I was like, man, this is annoying. And then we saw a clip of her when we came here to record, because we were looking up that Foxy quote, in Japanese, and it was much higher-pitched and much more annoying.
I mean, it's almost like the point of that character is to be annoying.
She's so enthusiastic about her captain, though.
Yeah, that's true. She definitely defends him. I think she might, really like him. Like him. I think she's left a note in his locker, once or twice.
He's such a roguish rascal. I love how this, goofy a-hole has kind of inspired so much loyalty from his crew.
Except from Hamburg. Boss is kind of stupid.
I feel like Hamburg is probably one of those people who's been with him the longest, so it's still born out of affection.
Okay.
So that's just headcanon.
But that's just fandom. A fandom. Curtis, what do you think of just kind of the Foxy Pirates in general?
They're interesting. Mm-hmm. For a crew that has been accumulated by being stole from other crews.
Oh shit, he's the Borg. Go on.
They seem very unified.
Yeah.
Even the ones that were most recently taken were all like, oh yeah, we're Foxy Pirates now.
I think that's supposed to contrast them really sharply with the Straw Hats, who are very attached to each other. Mm-hmm. I agree it's a little weird, but at the same time, all of the Foxy Pirates really just seem like they want to have a good time. None of these people want to go out and sail the Grand Line and encounter dangers. They just want to have a party and play games.
I think they should have gone in one of two directions with Foxy with this. I think that they should have given someone else the slow fruit and then given him some kind of mild hypnosis powers so that once you swear to him, you can't break that and it's mind control and that would add to the horror. Or you make him less of clearly a dick. This is a guy who put up a fake finish line. He put up a turn right, the course is that way. He pretended to be a dying grandma. He's just scum. And if he were a little bit nicer, if he were a little bit better of a person and a little bit more charismatic, I could see him basically wooing people. Come join my ship. You don't really want to sail the Grand Line, do you? Come here and party with me. It's fun.
When we talk about the race, I want to come back to the tricks.
Okay.
But for a minute, I want to go back to the juxtaposition thing.
Yes.
So I feel like it's somewhat intentional because I think they're trying to point out that the Straw Hats are fairly unique on the Grand Line in terms of the way they see themselves as a family.
Sure.
That a lot of these people are more like regular pirates. That they're out here for the money and not because they're on some grand adventure where they're making friends along the way, sort of thing, right?
Right. They're kind of on the same ship as their comrades by happenstance.
Yeah. And so I think you get a good scene of that when Chopper gets taken. And Chopper's like, the only reason I came out here was because you asked me to. I don't want to be with these people, right? It was a very
emotional, heartfelt.
And goddamn, Zoro slamming his booze on the ground. He even had his back turned towards Chopper, and he's like, quit your belly aching, you damn child. We have yet to see Zoro go wrong by the quote-unquote honor of pirates. Once he decided he was a pirate, he read the rule book and he memorized all of the things. He's not great at, I don't know how good his memory is. I don't know if he could cite, if there were actual pirate codes, but he in his heart feels what being a pirate is, and he will not tolerate anyone who violates those principles.
Yeah, I do think, I guess, personally, he probably could have handled it better, but I get it's very Zoro, the way he goes about it, right? And I think it was his way, because it was his way of saying, don't worry, I'm going to take care of you, right?
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I would hard disagree that there was a better way to handle it. I think Chopper was getting a little bit hysterical, and at that moment, him throwing a fit about, I don't want to be on these people's crew, it's not going to help his situation. And so being firm with him the way that Zoro was kind of shocked him into being calm about the whole thing so that the rest of the Straw Hats could handle it.
I guess from an action standpoint, yes. But it just, Zoro sometimes comes across as that men don't have feelings stereotype. And I think that was a little bit heavy in this one.
Yeah.
But I obviously it was effective, so.
He certainly has been called out by certain members of the fandom about being too stoic and not feeling his feelings. But at the same time, I think you're right that is, he sees it as pointless to show those kinds of emotions. So I think he keeps a very tight bottle on it. And whether that makes him a healthy person or not, that is Zoro.
Yeah.
Zoro is the stoic.
Yeah, I guess that was my point. It's not the healthy way to go about things, but it's
Zoro.
It's him.
Wait. What if, to bring it back to the Expanse, what if, like Amos, he used his swordsmanship skills, to cut out the emotional center of himself? Or like his soul. He just took his swords, he was like, shink, 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 and now he can't feel.
Could you make that sound effect again?
Chink, 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 chink.
Perfect.
And then when you have the xylophones, it goes dink-a-dink-a-dink-a-dink-a-dink.
No, that's a marimba.
Oh, okay, right. There's a difference between a marimba and a
marimba
xylophone.
is a big xylophone.
Okay, perfect. And you know what? We're getting a little goofy. We're getting a little silly. Before we, get a rein on things and start talking about kind of the bigger picture stuff and some of the nitty-gritty stuff, so we're both going to get bigger picture and smaller picture, we should be sure to give a shout-out and an advertisement for our friends Plorbs Mablorbs. As you know, Plorbs Mablorbs and the Adventure of Blorf was designed to be a 10-part series, and with this week, the 9th part has been released to the public, and the 10th part is coming out in just another week. The final chapter is nearing, and it's time for us to buckle down and read the description of Part 9. Blorf has seen war. Blorf has seen death. Blorf has found hope, and Blorf has fought for victory. He's seen love, he's seen hate, he's seen betrayal, and he's seen friendship. He met a PI who was not playing by the rules and had to be let go from the police force because they were a loose cannon. He found spiritual nirvana, he traveled to the past, he paved the way to the future. But in this, the stars have started to align, the soup has begun to cook, time has begun to stop. It's all been leading to this. The planets are aligned. Old allies will resurface. Old enemies will resurrect. New enemies will crawl forth from the earth and drop from the sky in a fire of angry, hissing sounds. That's right. It's time for Blorf to face the conglomerate horde Armageddon contagion unit squad. His most dangerous foe yet. Now, Catherine, I usually ask you to describe, your favorite part. I want you to hype people up about this story that they're about to read. But there was that one panel of this webcomic that you just kept, looking over and over and over again. So I really think that you just need to kind of describe that one full-page panel that you just loved so much.
Okay. So first of all, that song that I just did there, that was the musical sound effect for that panel.
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
And it shows our hero Blorf at the bottom, his fists upraised in defiance, and coming toward him, filling up the whole top of the panel, are the bad guys.
Right.
The dangerous squad of what you said.
Assorted creatures. Yes, that definitely has a name that's not overly complicated.
Yes, exactly. And just the way the line work is heavier, where Blorf's fist meets the boundary of white space between him and the bad guys, showing the force of his conviction, the way the action lines are drawn so that you know they're coming toward him. It's just a beautiful panel.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I like to think of the 10-part series, even though it's one overarching saga, each individual arc has its themes and its motifs and the lessons that Blorf has learned. And if you pay attention to that scene, I think that you can actually see 10 towering figures in the background, and 9 of them represent the arcs that he's already gone through. And that 10th one gives us a hint of what's to come, and it's the most dangerous one of all.
Absolutely.
And all right, Curtis, you have been blessed with the final chapter, just the first part of it, though, of Blorf's story. Do you want to tell our readers what they can expect, how this story is going to begin to take shape?
Yeah, so I'm not going to give out any details, but I will tell you this. The story is coming to its climax, its final conclusion. Everything will be fulfilled, all the plot lines will be tied up in a nice, neat little bow. It's going to be the ending that we've all been waiting for. Much like Avengers Endgame, it will be a satisfying conclusion to this multi-part series.
That's incredible, and I'm so glad that that we have been touched by this adventure, and it will be sad to say goodbye to Plorbs Mablorbs and the Adventure of Blorf for our ad segment. But the show must go on, so let's go back to talking about pirates.
Bling!
All right, and we're back, and now I want to hit on a couple of quick notes that were kind of throwaway lines, but could potentially be foreshadowing or world building.
Foreshadowing.
Exactly, right? We haven't had that in a long time. But at the beginning of the series, they said that, like, the devil fruits are rumored to come from, like, the great sea beast. I think it was something like that. And then we all speculated on that at the time. So here's 2 other pieces of information that we got. Apparently, the Davy Back fight originated from an island called Pirate Island?
Dun, dun, dun.
So is this the birthplace of all pirates? Is this the place where the One Piece is buried? Curtis, what was your thought when you heard that?
I think Pirate Island is like a pirate safe haven, right?
Okay.
So the Marines don't go there. They've just left it alone.
Okay.
And pirates go there just to be pirates.
Interesting. So it's a little bit like, I think there was a fortress at the end of Pirates of the Caribbean 3 that all the pirate lords went to, so it might be something like that.
So it's like that, and then there's also there are tours that are given.
Okay.
It's a very limited area, so basically, like, what happens is there's one pier that you go to, and it's sequestered from everything else, so you are not harmed. And then you're in a protected tour group the entire time, going through on a very designated route, and there are barriers up.
They actually give you giant hamster ball type of things made out of, like, plexiglass, and you just have to roll along tracks, and there's no way to get it off of the
It's just like Jurassic World, right?
Okay.
It's like those ball things. There haven't been any dinosaur incidents yet, so we will see what happens down the road.
I am so ready for us to answer the question, are there dinosaurs in One Piece?
I mean, there were dinosaurs in One Piece.
On Little Garden, that's true. Yeah, interesting. Do you think, can you get a Zoan devil fruit with dinosaur in it?
Oh.
I mean, right? I don't know.
Like a T-Rex fruit.
Exactly.
Or like a dino model T-Rex.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, like, does it have to just be land animals? Can you get a dolphin
Devil fruit?
devil fruit?
Yeah, but you can't swim.
Yeah, I would be very curious. I think if a fishman eats a devil fruit, are they just a man now?
What an interesting question. They still have their fish parts,
But they
Curtis.
can't swim. They're not a real fish man.
Wow! Check
calling
your man
out calling out the disabled fish people that have been cursed by the ancient sea dragon or whatever the heck. Okay, the other bit of information that we got is that Davy Back Fight is so named because of Davy Jones, which is a very famous pirate in real-world pirate lore. He was in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies.
Which was a documentary, as we know.
He has a locker.
I'm just saying that he's mentioned in a lot of different pieces of fiction. But in One Piece, you kind of get like this blur. Like there is a real-world Blackbeard, and we have a character in the show named Blackbeard. So do you think that A, Davy Jones is completely made up, he's just a myth? Do you think B, he was just a dude? Or do you think C, he was a little bit of both, where like he was a guy but he accomplished great things and so now there's all these legends about him?
I think it's more of C.
Okay.
I assume he was a person. He was probably a super great pirate. Maybe had devil fruit. Maybe he made the devil fruit. Maybe he had wonderful ancient technology that made him a great person. He started this whole stuff. I don't know.
Put it on the moon or something.
Joel pointed out that when they mentioned Davy Jones, they said he was a famous pirate who was cursed, and now he is stuck at the bottom of the sea. Well, what do devil fruits do, other than if you get underwater, they trap you? So maybe he got some sort of devil fruit that allows him to breathe underwater, but he can't swim, so he's just...
He actually has a scuba mask with a really long tube that goes all the way up to the top, and he's able to breathe, but it's kind of a boring existence.
Is it a snorkel?
Yes.
And then my other thought is, well, we know that there is the D initial. Davy starts with D.
What if all of them? What if D is just Davy?
Yeah,
what if all of them are Davy? It's
Monkey
Davy, Luffy.
That's the worst name I've ever heard.
Gold Davy Rogers.
I like that. Roger.
Roger, sorry.
Yeah, I constantly call them the Rogers Pirates, but they are not. They're the Roger Pirates.
Roger.
I wonder. The Roger Rabbit was obviously a member of the... No.
But who framed him?
I wonder if Gold Roger wasn't the first king of the pirates. He was just the first one in modern history. We have a void century where we don't know what happened historically. So maybe Davy Jones, since he's spoken of as a great pirate, maybe he was the original pirate king. And maybe he did something bad and the pirates were like, you know what? No, we're just going to get rid of you. And they threw him overboard or something. I don't know. There was a great pirate rebellion.
He could also be a devil fruit fishman. So that's why he breathes underwater, but he can't swim anymore, so he's just stuck
down there. Also, another thought that I definitely wouldn't put past Oda is possibly him having eaten the first devil fruit. I have a lot of thoughts about like the future canon. I don't want to talk about it on the pod until you've gotten a little bit more of that world building, Curtis, but I really do wonder if there's like a tree of origin or a first devil fruit, and I wouldn't be surprised if Davy Jones is somehow associated with that legacy.
I'm excited to hear more about that. Curtis, this name is going to be nothing to you. Don't worry about it. Joel, could Hody Jones be a descendant of Davy Jones? I made that connection.
He could. I have no idea. Maybe.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep that tucked away in my back pocket for later.
See you in 600 episodes, everyone.
Wait, is it Hody Jones?
No.
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay.
Okay. Real quick note, we don't need to go into a long discussion about it, but once again we see the differences of sexes in One Piece. When Luffy and Usopp and Chopper get separated from the rest of the crew and they land on the Long Island, and then, Robin and Nami and Sanji and Zoro stay back, and they're told about the Foxy fight, or the Davy Back fight. Nami says something about, like, why would we ever honor something like that? Why would we ever want to participate in a game like that? And Zoro goes, come on, man, for the honor. And Sanji goes, yeah, of course, the honor. And Robin even explicitly says, you know what? Men are just stupid, Nami. So once again, we get this kind of, like, women don't quite understand honor the way that men do in the world of One Piece, and that goes back as far as Little Garden, when Nami didn't understand why Usopp and Luffy were so besmitten with this, with the battle, and I feel like there was one other place where Nami was really like, I don't get it, but Luffy was all like, woo!
I'm really entertained. I know this isn't the point. I'm really entertained by the way you combined the words besotted and smitten into besmitten.
Oh, besmitten isn't a real word. Cool, today I learned. All right, folks, go out there and study your English.
But yeah, the ongoing bit that the men are all very impressed by things that the women are just like, this is dumb, or the men have very strong ideas and the women are like, why though?
I would love a scene. I know this show is written for boys, and Oda is tailoring it to that demographic. I would love just like one scene though, where someone showed up in a really pretty dress, and it showed all of the ladies like freaking out over it, and then Luffy's just like, whatever.
We have had one or two things like that where Robin is like, it's cute, but it's not really like a bonding moment for her and the other female characters, the way the boy characters get to bond over their things.
Certainly, and you don't get boys being like, you're crazy or you're weird for thinking that, the way you get Nami explicitly commenting like, who cares?
I think part of that's just like the intended audience, right?
Yeah, I agree. I just, another really quick note that really doesn't have to do with anything. Zoro and Chopper build a pretty bad ship out of the barrels, and Luffy and Sanji make a pretty bad ship as well, and they're called basically barrels for Zoro and Chopper. Luffy's and Sanji's is translated differently. In the dub, I believe it was, at least it floats, and in the subbed it was, it's a raft, which are just perfect names for these idiots who don't even know how to do anything.
And in the first race, they lost Chopper.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, that really made me laugh when Foxy was like, the reason I want him is he's so cute. Like, how often do we have male characters calling stuff cute? And then Portia was snuggling him.
Oh my goodness gracious.
I want to get Foxy his own Chopper plush.
Oh, that would be great.
I do wonder if it was also somewhat strategic, because he took somebody who was going to be in the next round, so they'd be weaker in the second round, so they could more easily win the second round, and then they could take someone from the third round on that one.
Let me ask you a question. You've seen a bit of Foxy. Do you think he is smart enough for that?
I'm probably not.
He's so weird. I made the comment that or maybe I didn't make the comment, I meant to. He feels like an upgraded version of Buggy. And I made that comment about Bellamy, that Bellamy is the Grand Line Buggy because he was kind of inconsequential. But Silver Fox Foxy feels like that even more to me, because he gets insulted about, if you say something about him, he gets upset. He's kind of an idiot, but he's also kind of a threat in a weird way. He has a weird devil fruit. They all seem to like love parties, and that seemed to be kind of Buggy's thing. But he's such a weird character, because sometimes he's really devious and sometimes he's not. He comes up with all these tricks that don't work on people, and yet he seems to have a crew of, 500 plus based off of the fact that he successfully tricked these people.
I wonder if it's just that everybody but the Straw Hats is very stupid.
Okay, that's entirely possible.
I would love to see a filler arc that's just the Foxy Pirates and the Buggy Pirates in a Davy Back fight.
Oh my goodness.
Just because they're both so stupid that I think they would, simultaneously be crying over something the other one said while their crews tried to comfort them.
Also, is this technically a tournament arc?
I don't think so, because it's not whittling it down to just a one-on-one fight sort of thing, that you don't get progression. Zoro winning won't affect his ability to be in the next race or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like a tournament arc light.
Yeah, okay.
So a lot of people don't like the Davy Back arc, and we'll have to discuss this more when we get to the end of it, and you'll have more thoughts. But I just think it's interesting. One thing that people have pointed out is it doesn't seem connected to anything. Even I said that at the beginning of this podcast episode. I want the Davy Back fights to come back later. You hear about all these big shot pirates, and none of them have used this apparently ancient pirate tradition. I want it to come back in some way.
I would love for one of the warlords to be really into Davy Back fights.
Yeah.
So maybe there's somebody doing a fanzine or an unofficial newsletter, and he reads the undefeated Foxy Pirates were defeated by these upstart Straw Hats, and then later down the line, he challenges them to a Davy Back fight.
Foxy's big brother, Bearsy. He's just this big, hairy dude. He's really good at, wrestling.
I love you.
Here's what I want. Okay. I want the secret, unspoken rule that nobody knows, but if you know it, it'll work, of a Davy Back fight, is that you can choose any of the team members, you can take their flag, or you can choose Davy Jones, and he will come back, thus the Davy Back.
Oh. Oh, okay. He's bringing Davy
But you
back.
have to know, and you also have to be patient. You have to sit there and wait for him to come back.
It takes him a while to swim up to the top.
It's a big ocean.
He's actually all the way back in the West Blue, and so he has to kind of doggy paddle out to where you are.
Oh man, that would be such a far open water swim.
It would. All right, so Curtis, we currently have 2 rounds left. We haven't had any indication as to whether or not this next one will be hard or easy for Sanji and Zoro. We don't know really what the third one is. We know the name of the game, but we don't know who's participating, sort of thing. What's your prediction, given that Chopper has been taken by the enemy crew?
So I think the next round's going to be difficult because the other team's ball is a giant man.
Okay.
Half giant, half
Fishman.
Mm-hmm. Very difficult to get a hand on. I think they will win, though, and get Chopper back. Because otherwise we would end this with
2 crew members taken, right?
Yeah, but then if they won the third one, they can get one back, right?
Sure.
So, like, best case scenario, if they lost the second one, unless if some other thing happens, they would be down a crew member.
They'd be unable to,
Yeah. But I'm curious because that would mean they would also have to win the third one to not lose a crew, not to come out with a net negative, right?
Yep.
But I don't know what they would take because I don't think they would take anybody on their crew. And to be honest, I don't think Luffy would take their flag either. I feel like he just would be like, I don't want any of it.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's allowed to do that. Maybe he can waive his right to take a prisoner. But you basically think that the next 2 battles will be victories for the Straw Hats.
I think so.
Okay. That's perfectly valid. I agree with your point that I can't see them losing a crew member to the Davy Back and them not trying to get him back, but they already made a big deal about honoring the agreement, so I think it's kind of been advertised. Alternatively, maybe there's a way for them to be tied. Maybe there's a way that, like, all 5 of the people in the ring right now knock each other out, and so the announcer's just like, I guess we move on to round 3 now?
Yeah.
And so then that way you would have a lose, a tie, and a win, showing that the Straw Hats are slowly getting better.
I like that. That's good.
Will have to see. We're moving into our final round. I think that's... Anyways, it doesn't matter. Here's a question for you 2. You have entered a Davy Back fight against the Straw Hat Pirates. Let's assume you had a chance to see what they were kind of like personality-wise and what their abilities are, their specialties. So not necessarily in battle, but maybe you saw that Chopper is an excellent doctor. You saw that Zoro is an excellent swordsman. If you somehow won that first fight, which of these 7 would you pick?
Robin.
Okay.
It's a toss-up between Nami or Sanji.
Okay. Explain your thinking.
Yes. So I would pick Robin because between her devil threat and her vast stores of knowledge, she seems like the biggest threat.
Okay.
She could tell the Straw Hats about different pieces of the games if she knew stuff, or her hands did a heck of a lot in that first race. So I would take her. If I couldn't have her, I would take Luffy. Same reason, devil fruit makes him a big threat. He has a really high bounty.
Okay.
You take the captain, the crew falls apart, that kind of thing.
Certainly. All right, Curtis?
So I'm thinking Nami because I don't know how to use a boat. And I'm assuming in this scenario that I would need to
You would be a pirate?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Sanji, food. I like good food.
That's certainly true. Luffy is too much of a loose cannon. I think that if you asked him to join your crew, he would basically destroy it from the inside out. And I know that's a little bit of foreknowledge or whatever because I'm watching the show as an outsider. If I met him on the street, maybe I wouldn't know that. But I did specify you would know their characteristics, so I think you would be able to clearly see.
At the same time, every single person who has met Luffy so far has gone, oh yes, I can use or control this rubber man. No.
Yeah, okay, I guess that's true. I guess I would say that Zoro would be great. I would love for him to be able to teach me anything about the sword. If he joined my crew, maybe he would do that. He also seems very honorable to the rules. I know he would agree, or he would follow through on losing. Possibly also maybe Nami if I knew that she had like her weather powers because like hell yeah that seems like magic to me, so I would probably be enamored with that. And then she'd be like, no, it's just like a party trick and some dials. I'd be like, but you know, that would appeal to me for that. Okay, and I have one more question on the same lines. If you were to challenge someone to a Davy Back fight and you were allowed to pick the challenge, what challenge do you think would best suit you so that you would probably come out on top?
Laser tag.
Okay.
I'm very good at laser tag.
Okay, you do have some excellent strats when you go into the laser arena.
Putting off chores.
All right.
Whoever
And you
can
turn
put-
that into a competition.
So you're each given an apartment, and you just don't do any chores, and whoever can last the longest.
So you're turning a negative aspect about yourself into a positive.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It's probably not great because I'd lose eventually. I don't like having a messy apartment. Eventually, I break down, and then I clean it all.
So what would yours be, babe?
Okay, so in this situation, I imagine I'm going up against the Straw Hats. I'm sorry if I didn't specify that for you two. So I'm trying to think of, like, is there anything that I can do that I don't think that those people would be able to do? And you know what? I'd probably challenge them to a computer programming contest. I don't think any of them know what a computer is. And I would just win by default. They'd be like, what is a for loop? And I'd be like, yeah!
Hey, nerd, whoever does the Sudoku first wins. Oh, look, I did it already.
No, Robin would kick my ass. Robin would
She has
have
so many
9
hands.
pens out exactly at the same time. And that has been your...
Wait,
What?
I was going to say I had one other potential Davy Back fight that might fit better into the world than laser tag.
Okay.
Obstacle race. Like a American Ninja Warrior style kind
What
of
about
thing.
a paintball game against the Straw Hats?
That would be super fun.
You'd have no way of beating... I don't think Luffy could be beaten, and I don't think that Nami or Robin could be beaten. Robin has the reconnaissance with her eyes and her ears. Luffy's too freaking fast and he has battle instincts, and Nami's just too clever.
But I think you could trick Luffy or sneak up on him. The real MVP in a paintball match would be Usopp.
Oh crap, I didn't even think of that.
Mm-hmm.
But how afraid is he?
He's
Like-
not. He's like,
Oh,
a
he's-
sniping competition? Finally, there's something I can do. And he, like, arranges his crew members so they get taken out, but it was all a plan to get the people into his line of fire.
Oh my god, I need a... They've already done baseball and they've already done soccer. Please, Oda, give me a filler that's just paintball. Give me a bad guy whose powers are like Miss Golden Weeks and related to paint in some way.
And that has been your
do
final thought outro.
Goes.
Here!
Tune
Next
back
time
next week for good more pirate content.
4 more episodes, 211 through 215.
Scuttlebutt at the bar is that Chopper will be the first member who gets Davy backed. The Foxy Pirates already have fighters, cooks, navigators, and bookworms. What they don't have? An adorable plushie with a medical degree.
So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are King of the What Pod. King of the What Pod at gmail.com, patreon.com/King of the What Pod, kingofthewhatpod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host.
Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.